A Hutch's weather update with meteorologist Hutch Johnson.
And good morning, everyone. We are live here in the FM area, and we are going to talk about our winter weather event that's making its way through. It's an Alberta Clipper, and it's bringing snow already to the northern plains. Northwest portions of North Dakota right now feeling the impact of this. I do want to put this up on the screen for you. Here's a look at some images from DOT cameras out west. This is what's on the way for us later tonight. Most of us will not have impacts until later this evening. Let's get right to it. Good morning, Clarine. Good to have you on board. All of the purple counties, by the way, on the latest radar, showing that we have in essence, a winter weather advisory wherever you see these purple colors here. So keep that in mind as we move through the period. Now let's take a look at this image here on the lower side. This is a look at some of the DOT cameras from the northwest portion of North Dakota. This at the bottom says Ray, North Dakota. That's Highway 2, basically up there in northwest portions of the state. We certainly have some slushy roads out that way. We will have the wind picking up. That has not really gotten too wild just yet, and we'll go over all of the details on that. And then another look from another location in that general vicinity. This is Bottineau, okay, a little bit closer to us. So the snow has started in the Bottineau Hills, some elevated terrain around there, enhancing some of that flow and cold air, making its way in there, causing the streets to be, well, let's just call it slushy. Here's a couple of key points I want you to keep in mind, but first let's get back to that radar and talk a little bit about the fact that the radar is showing most of the activity right now near Minot, and in the northwest corner we have some enhanced snow here in the dark blue near Wolf Point, Montana, Culbertson, Brockton, Montana, along the Highway 2 corridor there in northeast Montana. Now, the main event here is really up in the Dauphin area, Brandon, Manitoba, north and to the west of you. And that cold air and bands of snow will wrap around this system as it moves into the valley. Some of us may see a better chance at some enhanced amounts. And I'm going to go over what I think as far as the snowfall totals right now, but let's get to a couple of the headlines, shall we? First and foremost, this morning, I've changed a couple of things for you, so you have some details on the timing. Let's get to that right now. Here it is, the timing. This morning and throughout the mid-morning and midday hours, snow and wind will increase in western North Dakota. And by midday, it begins really impacting central North Dakota. So right now we have some light snow accumulating on roads near Bottineau, so that is central North Dakota. But as far as the significant accumulations that we're seeing out near the Montana border, that's going to be closer to noon. And the wind really increases. Hey, 6 o'clock snow and wind in northeast North Dakota. So it leans into northeast North Dakota first. Fargo, not so much. So if you are north of Grand Forks by 6 o'clock tonight, get ready for the wind and the snow to really start impacting things, hopefully after you've gotten home. Now, travel overnight is going to be ridiculous in eastern North Dakota. That's when the strongest of the wind will be, and I think we could see gusts that are very high and visibilities that are very low. The Red River Valley will see the snow overnight into morning, and it will lean into Minnesota as well. Now, by 6 a.m. Saturday, the snow and the wind will be in southeast North Dakota. That's when you will have the best chance to start picking things up, is beginning Saturday morning, and that will extend into the Lake of the Woods area, and then it's out of here by noon on Saturday for most, minus a few windy flurries. But the cold wind continues as we go through the day. Here is a look at some of the impacts. I want to update some of this information for you. We will have some impacts to the west of Fargo, and let me pull up a newer image that I just made here because it has more highlighted, detailed information about those impacts. Okay, sliding that over. I got up and got these freshened up for you. Here you go. Now, when we're talking about our impacts, we're talking about snowfall, right? The maps will show you where here in just a minute. Barbados, good to have you on. And Spuds basketball girls heading to Bismarck this afternoon. Will they have to have issues getting there? Well, not along I-94 too much. There's going to be some issues with wind later. Getting back tonight might be another question, but the heaviest of the snow will be north of I-94. And I'll show you that right now, Rebecca. Good question. If you're driving and you don't like to drive in snow, we're going to have wind and snow and icy spots. So please take caution as you're traveling. Widespread 1 to 3 inches along I-94 and points north. That's my forecast. Isolated bands with up to 6 inches. And please know I'm I'm saying isolated. I'll show you what I mean on the models here momentarily. Also, gusts will be near 50 miles per hour with snow at times through the day today, and particularly in eastern North Dakota into the overnight. Now, we'll see what visibilities do, but I do think we will have some areas with very restricted visibility near zero with some icy road conditions lasting well into Saturday, even as the snow exits, because that wind is just going to be so ridiculous and strong throughout the event. And now let's take a look at the know before you go. If you're watching this, please know you can go back to the video at this particular timestamp and check out the road reports. Here are the links that you will need with those road informations and photos that you can look at. Now, let's take a quick peek at the North Dakota road reports right now because that's where the impacts are. I want to get you out the door. I said travel alert right at the top of this advisory, and here in northwest portions of North Dakota, you see the purple counties up here. That is indeed where we do have a travel alert issued by the DOT. That means they're starting to get some mighty slippery conditions there, so keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind that where you see the purple roads, those are mostly snow-covered roads, partially snow-covered roads in the blue, and also wet roads. So we've got wet roads out there in the Devil's Lake Basin. We have white roads near the Minot area. Let's take you to one of these cams way out west near Williston, and we can show you in Williston along Highway 2. Here's a look at the cameras there. And as the sun rises, you can see the snow picking up out there. Let me pull that full screen for you so you can see it. There it is. I apologize for that. Now you can see the turn signals and the slush on the roads. So certainly a good inch of slushy goodness on the roads there, maybe even a little bit more. Checking the far northern border counties up here. That image not available. Apologize for that. Let's check this one out. And this particular image is from our friends in Columbus, North Dakota, North Dakota 4. And you can certainly see more impactful there and probably a little bit less attention than the interstates or the major corridors are getting. So watch those feeder highways and byways as you're traveling across the region today. All right, enough with this. Now let's get on to the forecast, shall we? Here's what's changed as we head into the overnight hours. Number one, we have similar snowfall amounts expected as to what I said last night in my lives and updates that you saw in here first thing this morning. That hasn't changed. What has changed is some of the models now are advertising this big blowup of snow in eastern North Dakota and northwest Minnesota. Why are they doing that? Well, that's still more than 24 hours out, so their accuracy, the farther out we go, tends to be a little suspect, so I'm not getting too excited. So that is why I said we're going to still have widespread 1 to 3 inches. There will be these skinny pockets or isolated areas that get upwards of around 6 inches of snow. With the wind, that's going to be pretty tough travel. Linda from East Grand Forks, thanks. And you can drop in where you're watching from. Hello from Macville, Sandy. Good to see you as well. I love to see where you're watching from. I can pay particular attention to those areas because our maps are big and I cover a very large area. And we're seeing the snow behind me on the map here in blue. And north of Minot, you see the darker blues when you're looking at radar. That's more intense snow. It gets even more intense up to the west of Brandon, Manitoba. Hey, down south, the radar says it's probably rain as we go through. Julie from War Road, Minnesota. Let me move my big head out of War Road space. Whoop, whoop. Okay, we're talking to you right there from War Road. Nothing yet, but you're in the winter weather advisory. Winter weather advisory is in effect until we go through Saturday, and the storm system is not going to impact us in eastern North Dakota till tonight. So it doesn't even start until 6 o'clock tonight. Just as I said last night, the Weather Service needed to wait until we had more of an idea of what counties would be impacted before they issue their advisories out here. Hey, thanks for the stars there, Paul. Much appreciated to all of you star senders out there as well. Paul says traveling back to Fargo from Grand Forks around 9. Is that going to be a problem? Oh my goodness. Well, from Grand Forks, so am I. I'll see you on the roads. It's going to be a little bit of a problem because there's going to be snow and wind. Let's get to the timing right now, Paul, for you to answer your question. And to do that, I'm going to pull, well, let me move these comments over so I can keep in touch with you. There, I got you over here. And now let's look at some models. This is what I want to highlight with what's changed. And I will say this, let's look at snapshots first because I do like those. And that stops this storm system in time so you can take a look at what's happening and when. Not a lot has changed with the future track of this storm system as we've seen it. here's a snapshot of what I expect this system to be doing as we get into the evening time tonight. So Paul, you asked about Grand Forks. Here's Grand Forks, my pointer showing you that, and now Fargo. So we could have some light rain and precipitation kind of just transitioning to snow, and the snow will just be really getting going, and there could be some impacts by the time we get to the 6 to 10 o'clock hour here in parts of eastern North Dakota. Now, what about the overnight hours and into the morning? The snow band exits as we go through, but what we do want to keep our eyes on with regards to the snowpack as we go towards morning. Let me get the right graphic up here. I apologize. Here it is. I'll just swing it over here. Okay. There we go. The snow by morning is exiting. This is when the Southern Valley will have its best chance at seeing some snow accumulations, and there will be very strong wind that will be persistent noon and beyond on Saturday, so some slippery conditions will continue. All right, so that's a look at that. Now let's take a look at some other really cool stuff. If you are looking at Manitoba, I have viewers that watch from Manitoba, so I'm going to touch on something for you. How's that sound? Let's go right to the monitor up top here, and we'll take a look and see if this view looks adequate. It does. Okay, so we've got some wintry weather conditions from Winkler, where you see the yellow roads here. That's partially covered. So yellow near Winkler is partially covered with snow. And as we slide over towards Winnipeg, we've got decent road conditions there yet, but the heaviest snow is not far from Brandon. Do you see all the white colors there on this particular map? That's completely covered roads. So when you're talking about the good old highway run along the southern part of the province there, we do have Highway 3. That's completely covered. Killarney is completely covered, and it appears that we have some incidents going on roadways out here south of Brandon. Let's check this one out. Oh, no, we got some construction comments there. Okay, so all in all, that's a look at Manitoba, and here in North Dakota, we've had a look at our area as well. And if you want a picture from Brandon, let me pull that up there for you. Let's see if I can get that full screen. Yikes. Okay, so this is from the Grand Valley up there on Highway 1. So some snow coverage for our neighbors in the province of Manitoba. All right, now let's look at that forecast more closely. I'm going to pull up this computer model. Let's go with the timing first. This will swing, this is snowfall by a certain time. So I'll read off the times to you here. Here's what I like about this model. This is 6 a.m. on our morning today, and look at the amounts that this model has. That seems reasonable with the pictures we're seeing. An inch, maybe 2 inches going through the morning hours here already on the ground in northwest parts of the state. Thanks for the stars right away, Zarina. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. So if you're in western North Dakota, this timestamp here is noon. By noon, Hutch says there's going to be a partial area here that has 1 inch to 3 inches on the ground up northwest. So really the impacts are going to be present for your evening drive in western and central parts of North Dakota. Speaking of that evening drive, this is it. This is 6 o'clock in the evening. Notice the impacts here, pretty minimal, and the wind won't be as strong here yet. Okay, so this is snowfall on the ground by one particular model. Don't necessarily pay close attention to these amounts. Just pay attention to where the heavier bands are setting up. Now, as we head into the latter portion of the period here, as we go towards Saturday at midnight, let's get there, shall we? Here's the midnight time frame on Saturday. So this is Friday night at midnight. Now, Paul, you're asking about Grand Forks to Fargo. Here's midnight, so that's after 9. We're going to have some snow and some wind, and it's just going to be getting started. Parts of I-29 may have some slush on it. North of Grand Forks, it will be more impactful. Sandy, thank you so very much for sending stars. If you're in the Devil's Lake Basin, though, the impacts will be more significant, right? 3 inches of snow, and the wind will be kicking like a mule that hasn't had breakfast. So that's not good. Now let's take a look at what's going on for the rest of our Saturday. These are when the eastern part of the state will really have its impacts of wind, midnight and on. I say, if you don't want to be out in the middle of the night with horizontal flakes flying and difficulty and feel like you're watching the open to Star Wars, just stay home and be where you want to be by around 9 to 11 o'clock tonight, particularly in the Northern Valley. This is a look at what the model says is going to happen. Let's see if I can get the time right here. Okay. Here's 6 a.m. Saturday. Starting in the morning, notice those impacts have 3 inches of snow or so, a nice band making its way along the Highway 2 corridor. Look at that cutoff line I was talking about. I-94 and points north, 1 to 3 inches. Pretty good bet by the time we get to the morning hours. And then by noon, here's noon as it's wrapping and exiting out of here, right? 1 to 3 inches along and north of Interstate 94 seems reasonable with pockets of more. Now, I want to show you another model here because this isn't it. If you're going to the Twin Cities, by the way, traveling into central Minnesota, the impacts won't come until later in the day and they'll be fairly minimal, but it will be very windy. As the temperatures fall, watch for slippery roads. Now, let's check out this other model, shall we? Because this is what I'm talking about. Same time, same thing, this model. First of all, let's talk a little bit about initialization. This model is not bad, okay? It's saying 1 to 3 inches out in western parts by this morning. That's not too far from what we've seen, but it's rocking 5 inches in Minot, North Dakota by about 10 o'clock tonight. That might be possible. Okay, but what these smaller models tend to do, this one here is a look at the Canadian model, and I don't dislike this Canadian model, but it's showing that we could see an enhanced area of snow in excess of 3 inches up north in pockets. They tend to overblow the aerial coverage of how much snow is foreseen. That's the Canadian model. Let me show you one American model. Watch this thing. Okay, I do not think this is going to be what we see. A huge widespread area of 5 to 8 inches of snow. I do not discount a 6-inch reading of snow or two isolated in these areas, along and north of Highway 200, along and north of Highway 2. Okay, keep that in mind. So there's a lot of the models and what meteorologists do, and we're looking at these. We see how the models are doing with what's going on right now. Right now, we looked at pictures out west. It appears there's maybe an inch or so where the cameras are. In between cameras, we have no idea, right? There may be some more. And folks, that's why your reports are so very, very important to meteorologists. We see the radar has that dark blue band just north of Minot. We don't know how much that's producing until we hear from you. But we do have an idea that it's heavier snowflakes, bigger snowflakes that the radar seeing in those places. Specific questions. I'm going to dial through your comments here. I see somebody traveling from Roseau to Walker, Minnesota for hockey. The good old hockey game will not be delayed by winter weather in Walker, Minnesota. And in Roseau, it will not begin to be a problem until, you said Saturday, 7 a.m. Well, guess what? You're going to have wind, blow, and snow to drive through. And you know what, Kevin, it might be a better idea. I hope I pronounced your name right. Is it Kavan? At any rate, the wind and the snow will be in your area, and I'm expecting those amounts to go back. Let's go back to my useful forecast model here. That one I'll put up right over here in your area. Let's take a closer look now. This is going to be by the end of the event. That would be Saturday at midnight. Okay, so let's go to Sunday, and you said 7 a.m. First thing in the morning, rise and shine. Let's get there. Saturday morning. This is about noon, so getting there. Okay, see how the snow is just getting started on this model? So you're talking from Roseau, where the Rams will be traveling to play Walker, and I'm not sure what the Walker team's name is, but that's my mistake. At any rate, those Rams will be traveling out towards Walker, Minnesota, and you can see the impacts will be a little bit lower with regards to snowfall, but the wind and the flying horizontal flakes could be somewhat of a challenge. So, Devon, thank you. Today is the 8th, and my graphic says Saturday, December 8th. That's my mistake. I haven't had my full pot of coffee yet, so I apologize for my date flaboo there. Tom Schrader says big wet flakes in Minot. By the way, my friend Tom Schrader is a meteorologist like myself. He's got 26 years of experience to 30 years of experience working in the snowy places, and he's been in Minot for almost all of those years. And he says it's not too windy in town yet, but people told me the winds are cranking up out west of town in Minot, and they're the big wet kind of flakes the size of Hutch Johnson's head. And for a little bit of perspective on that, we'll just get you to look at Hutch Johnson's head. You know the kind of flakes they are. They're those big, wet snowflakes that happen in the atmosphere when the temperature's just right, and they get big, and they all stick together and make a big clump. By the way, Tom Schrader does what I do out west. Check him out. Hey, Tom is on. Okay, 26 years of experience in Minot. He knows what's going on up there, and he'll keep you covered up in the northwest part of the state, absolutely in western North Dakota. So again, if you're going to travel, the impacts in the eastern part of the state here in the Red River Valley and the eastern third of the state will hit Devil's Lake first. by this evening, you'll have some slippery conditions to travel through. Botno, Walhalla. And then as we go through, I think that my image that I put up with the expectations of the snowfall, I'm going to get back to it here. Let's go ahead and review. I got to find the right graphic. Pardon me for being clunky here. All right, here we go. Let's take a look at this one. Okay. All right, now I'm ready to put this graphic up for you. All right. Clipper countdown. It's happening out west. There's going to be widespread 1 to 3 inches in our area, I-94 and points north. There will be pockets in our area of eastern North Dakota and northwest Minnesota of up to 6 inches of snow. With wind, there's going to be some drifting. There's going to be some areas of impacted visibility. It could be near zero in open country, so keep that in mind. And the wind gusts will be near 50 miles per hour. Here's a typo, by the way, with my fast fingers, a wind gust. I'm sorry about that. Turning colder on Saturday as this system exits. So that's it. You all are caught up with your morning update. I do have an update for you. I will continue to cover the weather, but I am going to head up in the meat of this storm and will report to you from Grand Forks, North Dakota, where you see on this particular map that, well, we're expecting a little bit more in the way of snow along the Highway 2 corridor, but not until late tonight. So you can count on Hutch to give you an update as we head through the evening hours and a live report from what we're seeing up in the Northern Valley. Okay, so we'll keep you covered. Hutch's weather. Thank you so much for all of your support, your ideas, and you know what? Your grace. You let me have a mistake or two because this is live and we're getting information out there the best we can. And I hope I addressed all of your questions. I sure appreciate you. And thank you, Don, for your kind comments. Thanks, Clarine, for watching. Thanks, Rita, for watching. All of you, much appreciated. Here's a question I think. We're supposed to travel from Fargo to Sioux Falls tomorrow around noon. Any impacts along South I-29 heading south? Check out this map here, and this is for you, Shauna Sharp. This map heading south of Fargo shows the snowfall impacts greatly reduced. This is Saturday at 6 a.m. So the storm is exiting our area if you're looking at noon and beyond. Notice there's a little bit of snow. Let me get it right to noon and Saturday. Here you go. Noon on Saturday, this is what it looks like. You're going to drive all the way through Richland County to the border. You get through the Sisseton Hills, and you're going to have some snow and slippery spots, and the wind will be at your back, and it will be strong wind. So that means some icy road potential. Keep that in mind. Take it slow. That'll be the toughest stretch. Once you get south of, say, maybe Watertown, those impacts will be negligible, but the wind will help your gas mileage. When is it going to start, Carrie asked by Grigla? Well, I'll answer a couple of those. If we can look at the snow pack, or how much snowfall happens, Grigla being up here in the eastern reaches of Marshall County, Minnesota, right over here. Have a good friend from Grigla who is a meteorologist, by the way. Maybe Verbout is a name you might recognize from the area. At any rate, there you go. Check it out. We do have some snow that begins accumulating by midnight tonight. So you will start seeing some snow before that, but it starts accumulating by midnight according to this particular model. That's it. I got to get on the road. I'm heading up to Grand Forks. I'm going to be in the eye of the storm up north, and we're going to do some visiting. Maybe watch a little hockey. Have you heard of hockey? Oh, yeah, they play some good hockey up there. We'll see. All right. How much will be an Ada? 3 p.m. tomorrow. We're having well, Gretchen says a gender reveal. That sounds fun. Indoors might be the best, or, some of your fun with that might be a little bit crazy. Again, 1 to 3 inches along and north of Interstate 94 is a good bet, with increasing amounts up north of Highway 200. So that's what it looks like. And Ada is on Highway 200, right? So therefore, your chances of getting closer to 2 or 3 inches up there will be certainly possible. This, by the way, is by Saturday evening. Okay, so this is about all we're going to see in pockets. There will be more in pockets, as I mentioned earlier. Please, if you've missed half of this, here's some of the pockets. This particular model, as I've discussed earlier, shows that by Saturday at noon, there's this widespread area of 5 to 8 inches of snow, widespread. Typically, we don't see with these systems that these are this widespread, so let's keep that in mind. But I would not be surprised to see an isolated pocket that gets 6 or so inches of snow with this particular Alberta Clipper. Hutch always likes to say Alberta Clippers are more blow than snow, and this one will definitely bring the blow as the winds could gust out of the northwest and north at 50 miles per hour. The radar behind me, I do have the ability to put on some data with that, and let's take a look at the radar up close. And let's look out west, shall we? I'm going to pick the radar out in the Minot region, and then it'll pull up. I can pull up some temperature data, and let's not look at temperature. Let's look at wind speed right now, and let's close this and close this. Now you can see these are sustained winds. Do you see the 30 burger right here? Do you see the 26? Okay, those are sustained winds at pretty high amounts already. So the wind is really picking up, as Tom Schrader pointed out west. Here it is, 32 degrees. The dew point is 32. When the temperature and dew point are equal, that means the relative humidity is 100%. Here's the wind rose. This is called a wind rose up here. Oh, it's behind me. Let me move it. My bad. Windrose. This is called a windrose. The red line is the direction the wind is coming from. So it's closer to north. We would call that north-northwest. How strong is the wind? We just told you it was 30 miles per hour sustained. But look at the gust. On the bottom of your screen, 41 miles per hour. That's the gust measurement there. So we do already have winds gusting over 40 miles per hour. That's the current measurement from that site. That site is up in northwest portions of North Dakota, rather. So as we take a look, let me see. Yeah, that's this site right here on the county line. That's going to be zooming in. You can see we're talking right next to White Earth and Tioga. So we already have the gust to 40. Imagine what that must look like on Highway 2 as you're going from, say, the Marshall area and on in towards the Williston area through Tioga. You're going to have some horizontally flying flakes. That is a look at your weather. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson, heading north to Grand Forks today. I'm going to do a little bit of live update here and there today with some snapshots. But again, the impacts here in eastern North Dakota will begin earliest in the Devil's Lake Basin. So by the drive tonight in Devil's Lake, Maddock, Starkweather, up north near Walhalla, Rock Lake, Candu, all of you are going to see some flakes flying. That includes Rolla and Rugby as well in Pierce County. Harvey, you're going to see it first, okay, in the eastern third of the state. It will lean over into Grand Forks this evening, and that's why the National Weather Service behind me has all these counties in blue, or I guess that's not blue, that's kind of a whatever color, purplish. My shirt's blue. That's purplish. All the counties in eastern North Dakota and northwest Minnesota does include Fargo-Moorhead. It includes you folks in Fertile. It includes Beltrami. It includes Crookston. It includes Foston, Red Lake Falls, Thief River Falls, all the way up into Roseau, Warroad, and Badette, Lake of the Woods. Not included in this advisory right now is Beltrami County. I do think there's a potential near the Red Lakes to see some snow that could be impactful. And I think even with the moderate snow, the light snow with the winds out there, the travel's going to be tricky in the northwest quadrant of North Dakota. By the way, if you are in Becker County, if you are in Otter Tail County and Lakes Country here, there's a cutoff there. There's no winter weather advisory. Will you see snow? Yes. I'm thinking on the lower ends there, closer to the 1 to 2 inches for you. There'll be some wind. Highway 10 will be a little bit difficult because we'll have that any east-west byway. When you have a northwest wind going across it, we get those pillow drifts and drifts that are tough to keep off the roads, and spotty ice across the entire area, even though there's not an advisory. The counties filled are the ones where the better chance of snow will be. That's your morning update. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Hey, give me likes and follows on these videos if they mean something to you or they helped you in any way. I sure appreciate that. I also appreciate a subscription to Hutch's Weather on YouTube. We'll keep you posted up there as well throughout the storm system. Have a great day.